Good evening. Here I am, Chuck Morse, Uber driver at night here in Boston, making my rounds. Just got back from Bridgewater on a pretty long ride. So, why are they protesting? It's only 48 hours, less than 48 hours between now and the inauguration of President-elect Donald J. Trump into the office of the presidency, and they're talking about big protests. Why are they protesting? In 1973, they protested the Vietnam War. That was real. People coming home in body bags. There was napalm being dropped on people. Thousands of American soldiers had already been killed, tens of thousands. They protested in 1913 when Woodrow Wilson was nominated, women's rights. The suffragettes were seeking the right to vote. That was a real issue. That was a legitimate issue, actually. So why are they protesting now? Really? Because Donald Trump has made some rude comments? Because Donald Trump allegedly engages in hate speech? I like hearing Stephanie Miller talk about this. Can you imagine? The kind of hate that's spewed off of her program these past many years. Now, look, don't get me wrong. She's funny and she's smart, and I do occasionally listen. But, just the way they rip people apart and the nastiness and the tone of it. And they're lecturing about hate speech. Look, Donald Trump is very plain spoken, and there was a campaign in which nasty things were said. But is that a reason to have these massive protests? Really? So I'm listening to the hearings, and I can see already it comes a little bit more clear with regard to what the protests really are about. The nominee for Secretary of Energy is questioned about whether he believes in man-made global warming. The nominee for Secretary of Education, whether or not she believes in, mandatory public schools, and she's against vouchers and against charter schools. We could take a look at a bunch of nominees, and we can see that the real reason for the protest has nothing to do with something real. It has nothing to do with whether or not Trump doesn't like somebody, because he might have expressed dislike for a person, and that can be tied into this ugly and false claim that he's got something against people collectively, which is the opposite of who he is. No, the real protest is because Trump threatens to move the country away from this massive nanny state that has developed these past half a century. This rotten, corrupt, hack-filled, government-sponsored nanny state that has destroyed large portions of our population, particularly, frankly, minorities. The other day I saw this movie, Moonlighting. It was very traumatic and horrible to see the utter destruction and degradation by which the black community was portrayed in that particular movie and in that particular segment of the population. And I think that it was quite realistic. But of course, what's not said is that is as a result of a half a century of destructive policies by the left that have destroyed the black family, or have seriously damaged it, have damaged the black church, have damaged black business, have damaged black pride through welfare and other programs, and also has damaged justice by letting criminals out on the street where they can terrorize people. And then they wonder why the community has produced such horrors as are portrayed in that movie. It's because of liberalism, and that's exactly what Donald Trump threatens to overthrow by simply telling the truth. Donald Trump is a truth teller. Donald Trump wants to do things that work. He doesn't want to continue policies that have failed. And that's why they're protesting, because they fear that. They fear that Trump is going to dismantle a half a century of failed left-wing policies. So I say to that degree, they're probably right. Maybe they should protest. But let's identify exactly who they are and why they protest. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody.